Phase 1. The empty Earth. You open your eyes on a hillside and there is not one other person on the whole planet. It's Earth. The exact Earth. Same oceans, same continents, the same iron sitting in the same mountains. But here, humans never happened. No cities, no roads, no voices, just wind and grass, and a sky that has never once seen an airplane. You're a healthy 20-something, dropped here with nothing. No clothes, no tools, not even a knife. And you are never leaving the ordinary way, because for you there is no ordinary way. You can't age, you can't be injured or sick or tired or even bored. You don't need to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe. Cut you and you heal. Bury you and you simply wait. Inside your skull is every page of the internet, every textbook, every diagram, every schematic humanity ever wrote down. You know how to smelt titanium, refine rocket fuel, and grind a lens to the nanometer, all of it, perfectly, forever. And you have one job. That sun above you is a ticking clock. In about 5 billion years, it swells up and swallows this world whole. So your goal is easy to say. Leave. Escape the planet's gravity before the star takes it. Get yourself off this rock in a way a normal human body could actually survive. So no strapping yourself to an exploding volcano, no skipping the air supply and calling a frozen corpse in orbit a win. Oh, and you do it alone. You can tame animals to haul and pull, but nothing with thumbs, nothing smarter than a parrot. No helpers, no shortcuts built out of other minds. 5 billion years. Every fact humanity ever learned. A body that cannot quit. One pair of hands. This should be easy, right? Phase 2. The ladder. Here is why at first you feel unstoppable. Real humanity spent 300,000 years stumbling in the dark, inventing fire, forgetting it, inventing it again. You skip all of that. You don't discover a single thing, you just remember it. You know which riverbed hides the gold, which hillside is packed with copper, which black seam is the good coal. No surveying, no guessing, no dead ends. You walk straight to the richest deposits on the planet like a man reading a treasure map he drew himself. So you start to climb, a sharp stone in your fist, then cold hammered copper, then a clay furnace and bronze and iron. You break wild horses and oxen to drag your loads, because the rules allow it, and a strong back on 4 legs frees your 2 hands for the careful work. And you have the one thing no engineer in history ever got, infinite patience. If a job takes 1,000 years, fine. You'll still be standing here. The star will barely have moved. A few months in, you build your first real machine. A water wheel on the river, turning an axle, lifting a heavy hammer to pound your hot iron for you. Your first taste of a force that isn't your own arm. You set it running. It works. It is genuinely beautiful. Then you leave it there and walk 2 days out to the ore you need. And when you come back, phase 3, the maintenance loop. Hey, it's dead. The wooden axle ran hot with friction, with no one there to grease it, and it burned through and snapped. The channel feeding it water choked on mud and leaves. Your beautiful machine is a rotten heap on the riverbank, and it fell apart in the time it took you to fetch a single load of rock. This is the wall. This is the thing no amount of time can fix. The instant something starts running on its own, it starts dying on its own. A stone axe lies on the ground and waits for you patiently for 10,000 years. A machine will not. It corrodes, warps, cracks, and clogs, whether you are watching or not. And you can only ever watch one of them, because you are one person. You cannot mine the ore and burn the charcoal, and feed the furnace, and cut the timber, all in the same afternoon. To smelt iron, your furnace has to run savagely hot, and every time it heats and cools, the clay lining cracks and flakes away. So you spend most of your days rebuilding the walls of the thing instead of making anything inside it. Now scale that up. 100 years to raise a chemical plant. 1,000 more to build the plant that feeds that plant. But steel left alone rusts. Copper wire goes green and brittle. Concrete cracks apart in the frost. Timber rots, and mice chew through anything soft. By the time you finish the machine you needed in year 10,000, the workshop you built back in year 1,000 is a green stain in the grass. This is the trap that actually swallows him. Not a cave-in, not the dying star. Bookkeeping. For every hour you push forward, the whole world behind you slides backward into rust. Add it all up and one grim day arrives when every single hour you have goes to repairs, and none of it to progress. You are sprinting as hard as you physically can just to stay inside the Iron Age. Leave for one long voyage across the ocean and you come home to ruins. Every time. Forever. So maybe the answer really is no. Maybe 5 billion years is worthless if you can never once get ahead of the decay. But hold on. We have been quietly assuming he has to rebuild the entire modern world. He doesn't. Phase 4, lower the bar. Almost everything you know about rockets is bent around one insane demand. Coming home, surviving re-entry, landing gently, keeping the crew breathing for a week. You need none of it. You are not flying Apollo. The Saturn V stood taller than the Statue of Liberty and weighed 3,000 tons. And all of that only reached the moon, which is still sitting deep inside Earth's gravity. Nearly that entire monster existed just to carry people safely back. Your payload is one indestructible man in a sealed metal box who only has to last a single day. You throw away the 99% that was ever about the return trip. You don't need computers either. The first rockets flew on slide rules and vacuum tubes, and your guidance can be crude when the plan is simply up and out and never stop. You don't need a sprawling refinery that feeds a civilization. Those are gigantic because they serve billions of people. Yours serves exactly one, so yours can be small enough to actually finish. And here is your real superpower, the one everyone forgets. You cannot be hurt, which means you are allowed to fail. You can stand on the launch pad, light the fuel, and get blown into confetti, then stand back up, wipe off the ash, and reset the whole thing. A normal engineer gets one attempt. You get 10,000. The rule only says you can't blow yourself up to reach space. It never said you can't blow yourself up trying, so you build your fortress out of stone, like a Roman aqueduct still standing 2,000 years later, like a pyramid that just shrugs at the centuries. The parts that have to survive, you make out of the stuff that survives. And it all comes down to one brutal little question. Can you refine the fuel and stack it and hold the rocket together faster than all of it rots out from under you? Phase 5, the answer. Let's be honest about it. Is one man? Probably not. The maintenance loop is merciless. Rocket fuel goes stale, rubber seals crack, tanks corrode, and your launch tower quietly rusts while you're off across the country building the next tank. One pair of hands against a whole planet patiently trying to rust. The planet has more time than you think, and there is so much more of it than there is of you, which is exactly why the question has a second half. If one man can't, how many copies of him could? And this is where it turns strange. Because 1,000 copies of this man are not 1,000 strangers. They all know everything. They never argue about the plan, never miscommunicate, never burn a decade rediscovering what the guy next to them already knows. The single worst part of your whole situation was that everything had to happen in one long line, one thing after another, alone. Split that line across a few hundred identical minds, and it becomes 100 lines running at once. This one hoses the furnace. That one guards the fuel. A dozen more beat back the rust in a dozen places in the very same instant. Not thousands to run a civilization, a few hundred, maybe fewer, just to finally outbuild decay. That is the entire trick, and that is the quiet twist buried under this whole thing. We never reached space because one genius knew enough. Every fact that immortal man carries, we already have written down right now, today. What we had that he doesn't was each other. Millions of hands holding the line against entropy at the very same moment. So the bridge doesn't crumble before the rocket is done. He has all the time in the universe and all the knowledge in the world. He is just one person, and it turns out that was always the hard part.